You should take between 10 and 20 minutes to complete the early bird questions, which is the amount of time we would have in school. This question is asking us to reason and explain why Mo is incorrect. Mo says that the heating timer is set to come on at 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. Is he correct? So first we need to understand what the line graph is showing us. So it's showing us the temperature on the y-axis up the side, and it's showing us how time goes on the x-axis. So we can see that from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock the temperature increases slightly, but then at 12 o'clock it starts to increase a lot between 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock. So that would suggest that the heating timer has come on at 12 o'clock, because that's the point at which the temperature began to increase. So if we're looking at the line graph, we can see that then from 2 o'clock it starts to go down, starts to decrease. So that suggests that the heating timer has gone off, and it stays at that point until 6 o'clock, and then at 6 o'clock the temperature stays at the same at 20 degrees, but then at 8 o'clock we can see that the temperature increases again, and again that would suggest that the heating timer has come on. So actually from the graph you could say that the heating timer has come on at 12 p.m. and 8 p.m, not 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. So here we have a line graph with two sets of data on for Jacob and Sienna. Jacob, the green line, Sienna is the red line. We can tell that from the key. And from the information that we're told, Benji has made a mistake when he plotted his line graph. So when he plotted the line graph for Jacob and Sienna, he's made a mistake. Where do you think it has been made? So we're looking at the total money that has been raised over a period of time. We can tell that by looking at the x-axis and the y-axis. So we can see that the error looks like it's at 6 o'clock for Sienna, and we can tell that because the total amount has gone down. So the more cupcakes you sell, the more the total would increase. So you would not expect the total to come down. So that is where an error has been made. Just a reminder that when we do reasoning, we start off with the first challenge, which is on this screen, which is a describe challenge. Then it moves on to explain and to convince, and then justify and prove. So the idea is that you work through them in that order. You don't have to complete all of the challenges. If you set yourself about 30 minutes and see how many you can complete in 30 minutes, that's what we normally do in school. If you want to work longer and try to get through them all, that's absolutely fine, but I would say you need to get through at least the first two, definitely. In today's writing, we'll be using the information and the plan that was created on Monday and Tuesday to start to draft a report. So on the next few slides, I'll go through that and explain how. When you're happy that your plan is complete and it's thorough enough, and there is information for each of the initial legs of the spider, then you're ready to write your report. So below is a checklist to help you check to make sure you've included everything. On the next page there is a waggle, what a good one looks like, not for the whole piece of writing, but just for the introduction and then the first paragraph that I've chosen. Remember, in a non-chronological report or a report that we're writing, it doesn't matter what order the content, the information is in, as long as we start off with our introduction. And then, so I'm working through my paragraphs from my plan, which will form subheadings, which you'll see on the next page. So here is my example of what a good one might look like. It's only a suggestion, you can be creative and use your own ideas. So I've started off with a title which is underlined and an introduction which engages the reader and makes them think. So asking a question is always a good thing, a rhetorical question, and giving some background information, but remember, don't give all of your information in your introduction. Then I've moved on to my first subheading, so I've chosen to write about what it is like on Venus, and I've shown that as a subheading, which I've underlined, and I've asked it as a question, and again as a way to engage the reader. So you could use questions in subheadings. Within that, I've included lots of factual information, but tried to make sure that it's kind of clear to the reader by using describing words, using linking words for cohesion, words like however and in fact, and making links between other things. So within this text, I'm comparing Venus to Earth and helping people understand Venus by comparing it to what we know about Earth. So after I'd finished this paragraph, I would then move on to another one of my paragraphs. So I might say my next paragraph might be, where is Venus? And so on until I've completed all of my paragraphs. In the text, there is a number of vocabulary which is important to understand. It talks about a phosphorescent cloud when his breath forms a phosphorescent cloud. And a phosphorescent cloud, or phosphorescence, is when light is produced by something which doesn't make heat or a flame. So, for example, a glow stick, the light from a glow stick is actually technically phosphorescence because it's not coming from something that produces a flame or heat. So basically, if something is phosphorescent, it's something that seems to kind of give off light. If we're talking about scuttled, in the text it says the word scuttled down the corridors, and scuttling is a word used for moving quite quickly, often with things with quite small move quickly, as you often use to describe things like insects. But his words were scuttling down the corridors, rebounding off walls. If something is grotesquely disproportionate, well, something is grotesque, it almost makes you feel upset or ill. And if it's disproportionate, it means it's out of proportion, which means things don't look the right size. So if something is grotesque and it doesn't look the right size. The word bellowing, if you're bellowing, it says the Minotaur reeled away, bellowing with surprise. Bellowing is a word for shouting. It also says many young men and women had ended their lives impaled on the points of its two horns. And if you're impaled, it means you've been spiked through, you're stuck on something. It describes Theseus as being a matador with the grace of a matador. A matador is a bullfighter. So you might have seen bullfighters, often they have like a red piece of cloth that they would wave in front of a bull, which a bull would charge at them. And finally, he talks about cutting through sinew, and sinew are the kind of tissues which join bones to muscles. So it's cutting through kind of basically underneath the skin